Something's coming. From the creator of Resident Evil, Dino Crisis. Dino Crisis, only from Capcom.
Jeez.
Oh,
easy,
just
fellas.
the Capcom? They're the only ones bringing us those Dino Crises?
Yeah, that's it. They're the ones. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Play Retro. That's right. I'm one of your hosts, Scott Johnson, and I didn't write a thing, so I'm just going to make it up as I go. Dinosaurs are scary, and the worst part of dinosaurs is that they use tank controls to deal with them. If that was real, then Jurassic Park would end much differently than it has for the last 5 movies. Go dinosaurs!
You know what I don't want? I don't want to get it by some prehistoric dinosaur.
Nope.
All right.
Nope.
And I'm your other host, Brian Dunaway, and I'm ready to survive this dinosaur horror by tanking my way first to the left and then to the right, and then, surprise, mother sucker, it's a dinosaur. We have a T-Rex. We have a T-Rex.
Yeah, we do.
But you did want to continue? You got 4 more.
Yeah.
We have a T-Rex.
We have a T-Rex.
T-Rex.
Y'all, we have a T-Rex. You know, this game definitely playing on the popularity of the Jurassic Parks at the time, don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely leaning in.
Yeah, of course.
They were like, hey, we make Resident Evil, but guess what else we can make? Another game where tank controls are terrible. Let's do it. Let's make it. And they did.
Are dinosaurs as popular now in popular culture as they were during the 90s? Because I was thinking about that. I was flipping through my particular feeds, and I saw a bunch of dinosaurs, and I'm like, wait, am I the exception? Or does everybody get dinosaurs in their social feeds?
I think they're the same level as they've ever been. And I think it starts with little kids really glom onto the idea of dinosaurs. And maybe now more than ever, they have more content and programming aimed at them with dinosaurs in them. So there's 4 or 5 shows on Disney Plus alone that my daughter's 6-year-old just loves because it's dinosaur stuff. He loves that Netflix Jurassic Park cartoon with all the kids that are stranded on the island during the time the movies take place. It's actually really good, by the way. Mm-hmm. Forgot the name of it.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it's not any different. I think it's just like anything today. It's a little like our pre-show. Like anything today, there's just a lot more of it. So it's difficult to tell because you might be on your feed going, this algorithm is telling me I want dinosaurs all day. And maybe Scott's is just cats. Who the hell knows anymore who's getting what?
Probably that, because I do always stop for dino content. And I'm sure the system goes, this guy seems to like ancient reptiles or birds or whatever they are.
How much Rule 34 dinosaur content do you think there is? Probably a lot.
Oh, my God. You know, I've never looked, but if you don't know what Rule 34 is, don't look it up. Just assume you don't want to know.
I'm going to check. Rule. I'm just going to look. I'm not going to show anyone. Rule 34.
Don't show us. We don't want to know, but I'm sure somebody out there is all about the dino lovemaking, especially with Valentine's coming up. Yeah. I mean,
okay. There's a ton of it.
Go to the. So what do the people go to the museum and rub on the bones? What do they do?
There's a ton of it, Brian. I'm going to send you a GIF that I ran into.
Please don't send me a GIF.
And you have to see it because I had to see it, and I'm not going to show this to anyone else.
So I haven't looked at it yet, but when I think of that, I can only assume that somebody has sexified the TV show, the Jim Henson TV show on ABC, Dinosaurs, and they sexified them.
Thankfully, it's not that.
Am I close?
Thankfully, it's not that. Okay. If it was that, I think I would spare you because I know how much love you have for that series. But I'm going to put this in here and share it with no one else. And as soon as you've seen it, I'm deleting it. And may we never venture into this part of the forest again. Okay?
All right.
Here it is.
I'm watching. All right.
There's your GIF. Yep.
It's just as bad as I thought it was.
Told you.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And now I'll never be able to see Littlefoot again.
Yep. Oh, that's who that is, isn't it?
The land before time. Why would you do that?
I didn't realize it was
my childhood memory.
That's funny, dude. Oh, that's freaking terrible. Yeah, it's so it's alive and well, Rule 34, and don't go there. Try to avoid it if you can.
Well, you thought Dino Crisis was a terrible dinosaur horror. Whew.
We got a different crisis going on right here. Forget about tank controls, just about taint controls. Anyway,
taint controls. I love that. That's hilarious.
Terrible. All right. Hey, couple things real quick.
To talk about Dino Crisis though, because we're going to talk about that and how eventually dinos went to space.
Yeah, they did. Saying. They did. Proof. You prove it, you can't. I got a couple of things here to that we want to talk about before we get started, and that is I have started in earnest, not Ernest P. Worrell, not that Ernest.
Know what I mean?
You know what I mean, Vern? Earnestly, I have begun work on the let's see if I can skip ahead and show some imagery here.
Okay.
Okay. Started work on this arcade machine that my dad built in the 80s. Built with his own hands. That is all custom built. He built like 6 of these in this style. And the reason people always look at it and go, why is it like wood textured on the outside, like Formica? And then the control panels look like stone almost, like they're like marble. And the reason he did that is these were mostly geared to a contract he had with the regional manager of Pizza Huts in this area. So all the way from the top of the state to the bottom of the state, we had a machine in every single Pizza Hut that there was. And I would go with him on Saturdays, and we would go look at these machines and make sure they were good, and he would do some maintenance on them. There's another shot of it with the marble.
So those listening right now, Scott is showing a beautiful handmade arcade, and it is the cocktail style where you would sit down at it. It's not a standing arcade.
Yeah, and he made standing ones as well, but this was his. These were the ones in the Pizza Huts because the Pizza Hut motif was more like a sit down thing. But also, they had to be these dark tones, these earth colors, in order for them to be. That's what they wanted.
The style of the time, right?
Yeah, they want Pizza Hut at the time. You got to remember, back in the day, Pizza Hut was like a family restaurant. You went and sat down with all 8 of you or whatever, and they bring out pitchers of root beer, and the pizza was actually good, and they were huge, and it didn't break the bank, and it was a restaurant. You had a waiter.
Pizza Hut was dimly lit. You had giant red cups. Everything was like this red, right? You walked in there, the wood looked red, the cups were red, at least where I lived at. Everything was just that pizza guy. They had wasn't there like the little character? Wasn't he like a pizza guy with like an apron and like a little?
Yeah, they went the whole way. For those thinking like Noid, we're not talking like the Noid. We're talking like a proper little Italian pizza chef guy. It's kind of what it looked like.
Yeah. They were fancy. That Pizza Hut was the fancy of the pizza places.
Oh yeah, no, you went there. You were serious about dinner with the family when you went there, and it's not the same. It's not what it used to be. It's most of the ones that are sit down are gone. Most of them are delivery only. They basically fell to the power that compelled them with Domino's and everything. But here's a shot of the thing without video. So this thing, it's got, its original mechanism for taking quarters and the whole thing in the front. He has this interesting, on this end of it over here, I'm showing, you can't see it because it's underneath, but there's a locking mechanism that he custom built for these that I have to figure out how to get into. And I think I'm going to have to do it from this box in, which is okay because I don't have these old keys anymore. I don't know what he did with them. The other side is solid.
Can you like go to a place where like Flynn's Arcade and travel behind some cabinet and travel to some kind of arcade world where your dad?
I think so. I think if I touch this thing right here, look at this. So this is just inside the change box. You can see the speaker on the bottom. There's the cooling fan, and then this is the CRT tube coming down. Yeah, it's just a beast. And I'm a little nervous about all this electrifying me because I guess stuff can go 40
CRT
years.
CRT tubes, for those who don't know, are just big, giant capacitors. In other words, they hold a steady amount of energy, and it's very high voltage. It could really wreck you. How long has it been since?
About 40 years, 40-something years.
Okay. Yeah.
And everyone I talk to, electricians, are like, you still could have it. Still could have the charge. So be careful.
Most unlikely, but definitely could.
Yeah.
So you definitely want it because the if you're wrong is a very high penalty.
Yeah. I'm going to wear some I'm going to wear some really thick gloves.
Right.
That may not
and
be
there's
enough.
discharges too. So there's some, if you want to, I can send you some links to some units that actually let you discharge those.
Because I need to probably do that.
You need to be safe.
Yeah.
You need to be safe.
So the capacitor stuff I'm trying to be careful about. Now, this right here, this view, for those at home listening, this is a view of the inside of the cabinet. It's a little dark, so I couldn't get the best shot. But that board, that's the main board there. And that's up against the wall that comes down if I had the key. That was the idea. He custom built these so you could easily maintain them, swap boards out, come in, do fixes, tweak, whatever, without having to like reach all up inside this thing or pull it out or whatever. It was a really pretty good design. And that right there is a Galaxian board, I believe.
Oh, sexy.
And if this is the machine, I think it is, this is the one where we were at a Pizza Hut. He was doing maintenance on it. It was a Saturday. I was just a kid, and we were traveling around with him. And he reached inside this thing and electrocuted himself and shot across the room and hit the table. And then the pizza and the drinks that they were saving there for us when we were done fell on top of my dad. It was fantastic. Fantastic moment in history.
I would like to think that he was singeing and kind of smoking and that the drinks put him out.
A little bit close to that. It felt like it anyway. As a kid, that's what I visualized. I'm sure it was less dramatic.
Well, that's what could happen to you, Scott, if you're effing around, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't want that to happen. But here's the progress on this thing. I put a video up on YouTube at youtube.com/Scott Johnson if you want to watch it. But basically, I'm just describing the process. I'm bringing it down here, and I have space dedicated for it here in the studio.
Yes.
I'm going to get some cameras up. I'm going to start tearing it open, taking parts out.
We can watch your demise. It's going to be great.
Yeah, if I get electrocuted, it'll be on camera. It'll be filmed.
Content. It'll be good content.
But as soon as I can get rid of that CRT, because I'm not going to use it. It's also burned out and useless at this point, so I can't use it.
Yeah.
I'm going to get rid of the CRT. I'm going to take the board out and probably mount the board somewhere cool, like on a wall, just to say this is one of my dad's boards. We don't have a lot of those left. And then I'll take all the other internals out. Probably. I would probably replace the top, this thing, the screen glass. It's not really glass. It's like plexiglass.
The essentially the place where you would put your drink and pizza on the corner of, right?
Yes,
the table.
correct.
Part.
And you have a pretty big border on this thing. There's a pretty big bezel. What I want to replace it with in here is an LED that takes up most of this space. I want it to be large.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put that in there.
Expensive now. You could totally do that.
Yeah, not a big deal. And I can get a good piece of clear, semi tinted plexi or something to replace that. Again, this is all stuff he did manually, so if he could do it, I should figure out a way to do it. The control panels, I really like to keep these as they are, but I can't because, well, A, the buttons need to go because they're an old mechanism. It won't work with any of this new stuff. But B, I guess I could put new holes in this to put sticks and stuff, but I don't know. I can't decide what I want to do on that. Yeah. If I do take these off and replace them,
keep the hole. I think you can keep the holes like they are. Yeah, just refit it.
If I decide to take them off, I'll mount those as well as like keepsakes, and then put something new in here and try to replicate it. But
I just got to know though.
Yeah.
Does it still smell like Pizza Hut?
Oh yeah, hell yeah, everything does out there.
All right.
My whole garage smells like Pizza Hut. Look at this. I love this stuff. Game select. The instructions. Fire laser. Yeah.
Fire laser.
I can't read what these say. What do those say? Anyway, I forget. But move ship and left and right.
See, Scott has got he's showing this amazing cabinet, of course, like we said, and there's 4 white buttons and 1 red button that just says fire, and it's got arrows pointing in one direction. It's gorgeous.
They're a little bit generic because in his mind he was like, well, if I put a Mooncrest in here or a Gorp or some other scrolling space shooter, these controls will all just work. So why get too specific? He wanted these things to be modular. And what we're thinking, this was very early because these were all singly handmade, but he eventually, right before the video game crash of 1985, unfortunately, which took him out entirely on this business, but right before all of that, he was building full-size cabinets and sit-down cabinets that were truly modular. And they also had built-in wheels, so you didn't need a hand truck to move them around. So you just like bend them, and then now they're on wheels. And then they had interchangeable, what do you call it at the top? What's that called? Not banner.
Marquee?
Marquee, thank you. Interchangeable marquees. You just slide it in to replace the last one. Has, the lights stay the same. The only thing they didn't really do well in the module, and then also the controls, he actually had like a thing that would unclip inside and it would pop out. You wouldn't have to unscrew it and just replace it with a new control scheme. Good. All of that stuff would really work well in every way, except the sides of this thing were very generic, and there was no way to really easily say, well, right now it's a Pac-Man, so it looks like Pac-Man, but we got to change it to, I don't know, 1943 or whatever, and so now we got to change all the art. So there's some questions about all that, but at one point he had 350 of these things done, ready to go, CRTs in them, everything but the main boards. That's it. Everything else was there. Controls, everything. Everything but the main boards are in these things, and they were all in a warehouse. Video game market crashed, lost everything, lost the warehouse, lost all the stuff. He did put all these cabinets in storage, and then he died in 2000 and didn't tell anyone that they were in storage. And storage place auctioned them off without any of us knowing about it, and they're gone forever. But for a hot second, I could have been the owner of 350 perfectly working CRTs, which would be worth so much money now. And these cabinets alone, oh my gosh, the stuff I would have done with this, dude. Right. If I'd have known.
They're not going forever. They was actually sold to people who probably really appreciated them and got to use them. So
for all I know, yeah, or some guy who's just a junk dealer and sent them all to Taiwan. I have no idea. I don't think they were individuals.
Taiwanese people. Then what's wrong with that? It's great.
Because I think the way that worked is they did bids on the full unit, kind of like Storage Wars style.
Yeah,
not really knowing what's in there.
A bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and then they find out what's in there, and they're like, I don't need all this shit. But it just makes me grumpy that all happened. Yeah. So I'm very grateful I have these two machines. I have that one, and I have a Moon Cresta, which I'll probably one day, I don't know what I'll do with it, but it was a branded one that came all the way from Japan. It was like $4,000. It's awesome too. That doesn't run at all. You can plug it in and things go, but nothing happens. So whether or not I do anything with that is up in the air. But anyway, I'm doing it, man.
I'm excited. So we kind of been talking about this since our first episode. It's actually one of the things that it was kind of a thing to kick our asses into gear, right? To stop sitting around and talking about doing retro shit and start doing it.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
Same. I'm very excited.
Fire.
It's going to be, I'm going to do it. I'm committed. I'm not going to let it just sit. And I've been talking about it for years and years and years and years. Before this show, before any shows, I've been talking about doing this since the late 90s. It's like, I'm going to take that thing. I'm going to make it all modern and I'm going to, and the thing is, at the end of the day, it may end up being an LED, a very small little Raspberry Pi based nothing thing with a load of ROMs and a, mostly focused on MAME. And I'll configure it so it can flip horizontal, flip upside down for player 2, player 1, all that stuff. But it's going to be mainly just kind of a big empty space in there because all this stuff, you don't need any of that stuff.
Leave enough space in there so you can crawl in there.
Yeah, I was thinking crawl in and cry myself to sleep at night like that.
I'm cold. I'm going to crawl into the cabinet and get warm.
I'm going to get warm.
Fall asleep as I cry.
I just hold my hands over a little Raspberry Pi, going, "Come on, baby.
Right.
Come on. I'll play Zaxxon. That'll warm it up." Ooh. Anyway, what have you been up to this week? What's going on in your retro life?
Well, nothing as cool as all of that, but we are in the maker zone this week. Me and you both trying to make some stuff. So. All right, so if you're not in the know right now, we're going through some tariffs that's slowing down stuff coming in from China, but at the same time, we're also going through in my local area a slowdown with the post office due to some upgrades they said they did, and so now they're down to about 40% of their on-time delivery. I was expecting some retro stuff to be here and talk about that, and since it did not arrive, instead, I'm going to talk about how I would just been 3D printing the shit out of this. This is actually a stand for an Xbox S-type controller, and I 3D printed this both in the black and in that nice Xbox.
Hold on, was the green the filament? So you did a multi-filament thing, or?
Well, I didn't do a multi-filament. What I did was I printed 2 different times. So I printed all the black filament, and then I came back in and printed the green filament, and it was just an insert, went right in there. There's actually a Patreon for this designer who designs all these really cool retro stands. This reason why I got into to 3D printing to begin with is because I was getting tired of having to wait on stands for everything. And so I've got an S-type controller there, stand for that. And the guy also had one for the Duke controller. So I've got my big Duke controller stand for that. It really prettifying my area up. And then also
Crimson Skies,
really cool Crimson Skies. Look at that. So this is a little stand that can hold your Xbox games. and just makes everything look a little bit nicer, for your display area. Dude. And I like all my display area to be functional. So these are things that I'm going to put on display as soon as I finish up my Xbox area. But that's what I've been doing, 3D printing the shit out of stuff.
That's great.
While I wait for them to catch up.
I need
the post office.
I need Microsoft, who owns the rights, to make a modern Crimson Skies game, or at the very least, HDFI remake that one. I don't care. I loved that game. Oh my gosh, I loved it.
Yeah,
it was the strongest for me. It was pound for pound the best game on that system. That whole run.
Right. Now,
so good.
Okay. Also, additionally, I also put a link in the notes next to that for my Blue Sky app. My Blue Sky profile. The reason why is I posted something earlier this week because one of the things I had ordered off eBay, I had to cancel.
Oh,
so
shit.
and the reason why is because it was early in the morning, and I was like, I was trying to buy some stuff off eBay, and this is just a nice friendly reminder that really look at the things, because I was looking at a couple of things. I was looking at Battlefield 2 for the Xbox, Modern Combat, one of my favorite games from back in the day, and I found the case that so I found the game. I wanted to get it for the 360. I didn't want to get it for the Xbox. So I found a listing. The listing title was Battlefield 2 Modern Combat for the Xbox 360, 2006. So I said, cool. Disc looked fine. Like there's no scratches. That's what I looked at. Click buy. Then I was like, oh, let me grab a couple of snaps real quick so I can kind of post that that's what I had ordered. And I started looking at it. The cover box is for the original Xbox. Yeah. So the box that it's in is
this right here.
Xbox.
Yeah, that's Xbox original right there. Sure.
So the game is supposed to be for the 360. So I was like, shit. I was like, let me look at the disc to make sure it's right. Yeah. Because I don't want to get the wrong version.
Yeah.
It was not only not the right game, it's Battlefield 3 for the 360.
Which is not as good as 2, by the way. Not as good as 2. 2 was better.
It is not as good as 2. Yep. So not only was I not going to get Battlefield 2 that I wanted, I was going to get the wrong case and the wrong game. So I had to cancel it.
Oh, man.
So, if you're going to do it, just, kind of pay attention sometimes, because only thing I was looking for was I was looking at the title and I was looking at the disc to make sure it wasn't scratched. I didn't pay any attention.
That's a big hair. That's a bummer. Right. That's a bummer, dude. I feel bad. Yeah. Well, at least, there's always another one. All right.
Yeah. So I ordered another one from somewhere else. It's a little bit more, but at least it was what I wanted.
I sold the 360 game on eBay not too terribly long ago, and the lady wrote in and said, "This is unacceptable. It was shattered. Here's a picture. It's shattered. Oh. This is the worst experience I've ever had on eBay." And I contacted her. I said, "Well, you can have your money back right now, or B, we might even be able to find another copy of that game. Don't leave me this horrible review." And she goes, "Well, it's my first time on eBay." I'm like, you said on there it's the worst experience you've had on eBay. It's literally the first experience. And I understand if it's a rough one, but contact me. I'm not some fly-by-night dude. So she's like, well, now I don't know how to change the rating. And I'm like, you can, but I can't do it. I was so annoyed. That was a bad experience. 360 games.
So this happened to me not too long ago. Somebody had only bought like 2 things on eBay and gave me a bad rating, said, received Nike bag. Smells like from a smoker's house.
Yeah.
Nobody in my house smokes. There's never been any smoke near my house. None of my things smell like smoke. And I'm like, only if it rode in the postal guy's house for a week, I guess. I don't know. But they only bought like 2 things on eBay ever, and then just like dropped a big old fat, this place sucks. And I'm like, great. So now everybody buys stuff from me thinks, oh, so he has a smoker. Everything's gonna smell like smoke. I'm like, oh.
It's really lame. The other thing that I notice every time I put any gaming stuff up there, and I do it occasionally, the amount of scammers that come after me are insane. Levels of scammers on there. And they're always like, let's make an arrangement where I take the money or you take the money directly from me and I'll up it by $30. I'm like, yeah, you're full of shit. Do it the regular way. Like you have to through the thing. Yeah. That's the only way I'm doing it. That's your deal. I mean, if you don't want the extra, I'm like, I don't want anything to do with you. Go away, weirdo. Block.
We have a deal. It's called eBay. Yeah. And you give me the money and transaction done.
Yeah. You use the system.
You're right.
Anything else is you scamming. I know this already. I'm not 84. And I just used the internet for the first time this week. It doesn't work that way. Dumbass.
Yeah, hilarious.
Anyway.
It's hard to operate on the internet. I had a really good experience this past week with a YouTube video that I made that was on for the Xbox.
Yeah.
And I just like it was like 18 likes and then 3 thumbs down. And I'm like, what? Well, what?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What was the thumbs down for? What is it? Because I get mad at Amazon because I'll see like something I want and I'm like, oh, cool. And it's like, then you'll see like there's 3 just like 1-star reviews. I'm like, oh shit, whoa, what happened there? And you read them and it's always like, it has something to do has nothing to do with the product. It's like, it's like, I don't know. It's always something stupid. It's like, I don't like how strawberry tastes.
Yeah. Well, then don't eat.
Don't order strawberry ice cream.
Yeah. Don't eat your sister's strawberry shortcake doll. Don't do it.
You get a 0. Right.
Well, that's awesome. Let's get to our game today. Now, you might be saying to yourselves, boy, sure been a while since Capcom came up in the discussion. Good news, everybody. Capcom is coming up in the discussion.
Shall we play a game?
Indeed, we shall. Let's talk about Capcom's 1999. I wouldn't call it a mega hit, but it's a pretty big hit. It did all right.
It was very successful. It did all right. It started a franchise, even though it was short-lived.
It was a short-lived franchise, what I meant to say.
Franchise. I like franchise.
Let's play a taste of it.
Let me guess. This is some of your handiwork, right?
The brass is still warm. These guards were shooting at something very recently.
So who were they fighting?
This wasn't much of a fight. I don't think these guards hit anything before getting sliced and diced. Whatever they were shooting at came in through there and ripped right through the steel fence.
Well, the hole is nice and clean. But I still say you could have done this.
Could be a dinosaur, I'm thinking.
I laugh every time she says that hole is nice and clean. That's Regina, by the way, talking to Gail, who is the most, just exactly what you want. Gail, the tactical leader, is just the most unaware character in any of these games.
She's this game's Jill Valentine, basically, if we're going off of Capcom history. But this is essentially them saying, hey, these Resident Evil games did real good. Why don't we make some more? This won't be survival horror. This will be, what did they call it?
They called it, so Capcom was trying to do a thing. They tried to make Fetch a thing. They wanted panic horror.
Panic horror, that's it. Yeah.
Right.
And the thing is, I would argue that that's just not a good enough distinction, because like Resident Evil 4 or 2, which is right around now as well, or a year prior to, no, about this time, was also something akin to panic horror. So just call it another, I don't know, another survival horror game. It's like, you don't need to, just because it's dinosaurs.
They were trying to distinguish themselves from horror games of the time. So they wanted to say it's not just straight up horror, it is action. They wanted to imply more action, but also to remind you that it was also scary.
But it's dark like Resident Evil. It uses tank controls, unfortunately, like Resident Evil. It uses fixed camera angles with a little bit of real-time angle change, brought on by the fact that they did not use pre-rendered backgrounds like Resident Evil up to that point. They used real-time stuff in engine, which for a PS1 title looked pretty good, I thought. It wasn't bad.
It looked very good, I thought, for the PS1. Now, most of my gameplay this week was what spawned all of this is because Good Old Games had Dino Crisis Bundle 1 and 2, and it's based on the Windows version, which looks a lot better than the PlayStation version, which has a lot of the jittering and stuff that people typically associate with the PlayStation 1. And it looks really good. But I was fairly impressed with the PlayStation 1. I played it on my PlayStation Classic. It looked fine.
Yeah.
It looked fine.
I played it on the my Ambernick, the H device, and it was fine. Looked good.
Yes.
In fact, probably better because it's small. But
Shinji Mikami, our director here and one of the driving forces behind this game, I think they did a really good job. I was some of the material wrapping and stuff, like the signs and stuff on the wall, the posters on the wall seemed illegible. Illegible? That's not the word.
Ineligible. Not ineligible. Illegible.
There's no legibility. How's that?
Illegible.
No legibility.
Yeah, no legibility.
Illegible.
Illegibility.
There you go.
There you go.
But yeah.
Yeah. No, so that dude, he is responsible for the first installment of Resident Evil. So, coming off a huge win there from the previous year. Newest stuff. Still around doing stuff. But he did the first installment of Dino Crisis. He returned to Resident Evil to direct the remake of the first game in 2002. And then the third-person shooter Resident Evil 4 really is where he is now legendary. I mean, when he made 4, people are like, holy shit, this guy, he's never going to make a bad game. He also founded Platinum Games, which is in the news right now because they're co-developing the new Ninja Gaiden game. So, there's that. Yeah, been around for a while, this guy.
Take that. Yeah, so that's the reason why we wanted to tackle this one now is because, well, one thing we've talked, people have been telling us to do it forever, but enough news had circulated around this recently that it felt like it was time. And I never played Dino Crisis back in the day. And I am now, I know I say this a lot. I don't say it every week, but I've been saying it a lot in these last few weeks, especially. I'm a fan now. I played tons of Dino Crisis 1 and even 2, even though they're not really, there's a lot of difference between the two games. I didn't get to 3 yet, and we're gonna mention it this week, but it is such a big turn. I think we need to save that for an episode later.
Oh, you think so, do you? I think 3.
Yeah, the Xbox version, Dino Crisis 3.
It's okay. I think it's all right. Yeah. It's a very weird. It's weird, and it's not this guy. It's a different team. And you can kind of feel it, right? 2 and 3 just don't have the same vibe the first one did. I think the first game still has a very Resident Evil vibe to it, and I think that's intentional. Yes. They're trying to play off of that. But you're right.
The formula up.
Yeah, I mess up the formula exactly, and that's what people, they advertised it that way. From the team that brought you Resident Evil brings you the Dino Crisis, and everybody's all into dinosaurs right now. We're still. At this point, I think the sequel to Jurassic Park had already happened. It wasn't a good movie, but still, it was out. Jurassic Park is what I meant. Jurassic Park 1.
Jurassic Park 2, actually, this was Shinji said that this game was more inspired by Jurassic Park 2 than the first one, which you can really feel because there's more of a military presence, and that's kind of what we're doing here. Our military presence has shown up because there's strange things going on at this research facility, and we don't know dinosaurs are there, so we're kind of let in. By the way, we're going to spoil a lot of this story, and it's one of the fun things about this game. So if you want to go play it first and kind of come back, I'd understand. But, it's a how many year old game now? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's old.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you go to this facility where Dr. Kirk has apparently disappeared, and so you're supposed to repatriate him, and but there's some really weird things going on at the facility, and luckily it is at a facility, so you got a lot of corridors, so you're corridor shooting, getting shocked and that kind of stuff, which is perfect for this era of 3D.
Yeah,
because you can't do a lot.
I'll tell you what's not perfect and what could be a lot better. The controls could be better. So yeah, I think they're improved from the Resident Evil 1, and I think 2 is out by this point. 2 is out or on its way. Yeah, it was either that. I think it was that year. Pretty close. I think it was also 99, if I remember right. Yeah. But this felt a lot more manageable for me, but I also have played a few tank control games over the last couple of years that I never played back in the day. I was a very anti-tank control because I was playing all these first-person shooters. Why would I want to do any of this stuff? Tomb Raider didn't feel like it was that tank control. Most of Tomb Raider was heading in one direction, and the camera was typically pointed in one direction, and occasionally you get some kind of cinematic, pointing direction. But these things are so cinematic, that it can be very difficult to know what direction you're going in, right? When you're doing these tank controls. Oh, for sure. And people complained about it at the time, but what happened is other games started coming out that used a better system, even on a D-pad, PlayStation 1, non-analog stick type arrangement. And it spelled the death for these at some point. This was going to go away. Tank controls were going to be a thing of the past, and they were very quickly that. In fact, his 2002 remake of the first Resident Evil scratched that entirely and just did something else. I can't remember for sure, but I think that was there an option in Code Veronica on the Dreamcast to You could switch between two ways of controlling or something. There was something like that, wasn't there? Or am I remembering that wrong?
We played that last year or the year before that. We've played it on this show. I know that. And Dino Crisis did make it to the Dreamcast, by the way. And I'm trying to remember if that's true or not. But definitely some better tank controls. I definitely appreciate these games now for their cinematic shots. It's like you had to accept the tank control layout so that you could provide these amazing these cinematic shots you'd get that would scare the bejesus out of you. They clipped it this week when I was streaming this, but there's a jump scare with a T-Rex, and I about shit my pants. All right.
It was, you don't want to poop.
It scared me.
Don't poop.
Yeah, I know. It's like, it was almost as bad as it was in, I think it was Resident Evil. Was it Resident Evil with the dogs that
yes, that jumped out of the window?
Dogs?
Yeah. Famous for that.
God, he was scared to cursing, saying bad words.
Yeah.
Panic horror is what they were trying to do.
Well, and I mean, again, I think it's a silly name. They could have done anything there, but it's fine. It's fine that they did it.
It does really describe what they want you to feel, which is they want you to feel like you're being chased. They want you to feel like you felt in Jurassic Park, where you feel like you need to run. And it's important because this game does do that. There are certain times, not always, but there are times when, unlike Resident Evil, where if you go to a different room, you got away, right? It's like, oh, man, I went to another room. I got away. And in Dino Crisis, you can go to the next room, and sometimes guys follow you. And it's like,
yeah,
in trouble.
Yeah, it's not great.
I'm in big trouble, man.
It's so real quick here. I have the issue that was basically previewing Dino Crisis and Next Gen, issue 54 from June of '99. Really great look at the game as presented. What I noticed, though, as I was reading through it, that per usual, sometimes some of the stuff they promise doesn't happen. Doesn't come to fruition, which, that's fine. But like, for example, they say here, while the game is not specifically set in the Resident Evil universe, the scenario is familiar enough to anyone who's played any of his previous works, but there might be some connections. Well, no, there aren't. Right. There are no connections.
Yeah, that's it. There are they're not really. Not that I saw. Not to say that somebody doesn't know some deep lore that we didn't get in our weeks-long playthrough. Things I was disappointed in was like when I saw Dino Crisis, I was thinking, oh, it's going to be Jurassic Park, so I'm going to run into a bunch of different dinosaurs. But you only really run into the Jurassic Park interpretation of Velociraptors, right? So they're big, not ankle biters, and T-Rex. So that's pretty much all you really get into. And they had said that they wanted to do others, but that they just, I guess, ran out of time, ran out of money. Got to get it to the market, baby.
There's a whole bit in here about puzzles. Let's read this real quick. It says the puzzle, because I want to talk about the puzzles. The puzzles will definitely be more of a challenge in Dino Crisis than in Resident Evil. The player's inventory has been expanded to hold an unlimited amount of objects, ammo and weapons excluded, so that's still a problem. But anyway, there are lots more keys and ID cards to find besides standard door key problems. There are many. It goes on. The one thing that's different, I both loved and hated, was that they made the inventory less of a problem, because Resident Evil, you're always playing a mini game of how do I arrange my inventory so I can keep as much stuff as I have. And that's true to even the modern ones today. 7, Village. What's the most recent one? Was it Village? Whatever.
I thought Village is the most recent one, but there may be something more recent than that.
And then the 4th remake is newer, but it's a remake.
Right.
But they all still have this really metagame thing of, oh my gosh, I'm playing Tetris every time I'm trying to put shit in my bag. Yeah. And I don't love that. It's not my favorite thing about the series.
I hate that.
It's supposed to create tension. They've always explained it before. I understand what they were thinking, but for me, it doesn't resonate. This game was like, hey,
Resident Evil.
Well, Resonate Evil, say. But this one is more like, hey, what if that was less of a puzzle? You just trying to manage your inventory. And what if the puzzles were more in the world? What if there was more like Myst-like stuff to get through? And it's a mixed bag. Some of these puzzles are kind of great and sort of very satisfying when you solve them. Some are easy, some are medium, some are stupid hard at the worst possible times in this game. And I'm not saying you hit it every time when you try to do this. No one does. All puzzle games have their ups and downs. They're good ones, they're bad ones. But this game, there was a couple where I just about threw this thing across the room. I was like, I'm not playing. Yeah,
the puzzles can be like some of the first puzzles you come across are pretty basic. Some of the hardest puzzles to solve are so they have this weird key card thing. So you would typically think in most games you get a key card, you open a door.
Yeah.
Not here. You got two parts to the key card. And then then there's also a code. So you have to get two parts to the key card and a code. And it's elimination. So I had to read through the manual before I understood it the first time, because I was like, what the hell are they trying to tell me how to decrypt this code? Because they give you kind of they give you a set of letters, and you have to eliminate the letters that don't need to be there so that you can find the passcode.
Yeah.
Took me a little bit to figure out how to do that through in game and also reading the manual. It finally became obvious.
You got it after a while.
I got it after a while, but it took me a little bit, and it was a little frustrating because it's so freaking confusing. I'm like, I want to get back to getting scared by dinos. I'm tired of trying to figure out your entrance to the cave puzzle. Let me in.
Yeah, let me in, jerks.
Let me in. But I'm with you with the inventory. I was glad that they made it simplified, because they complicated it enough to limit you with the ammo, because you can't just run through here and just unload. Right? You have to be careful with your ammo. You got to manage it, or you will get in a situation. Because what they really want you to do is not kill every dinosaur. That's in part 2. And the first one, lots of times you're just supposed to run. You're supposed to just get out of there, because what they want you to do is feel like you're trying to run to the next area while the dinosaurs are slowly closing in on you, and having that experience of like watching Jurassic Park, except it's happening to you
now in the moment. You're having a panic moment.
Why? You're panicking.
You're going to survival panic yourself to death if you're not careful.
Yeah, but they're real generous. They're real generous with the health. You have to get like these what they call plugs. There's another economy here. So there's wall units that can hold your health, and you can access anywhere once you've unlocked them, but you have to get so many plugs to unlock them. Same with weapons. And they give you plenty of what's called, is it called resurrection? I don't think it's anything that clever. But essentially, if you die, which will happen because a dino will get on top of you and start clawing you to death, and you'll just won't be able to get out of it. You'll get locked for some reason.
Like a dinosaur is want to do. That's what they want to do.
Yes, it feels appropriate, right? If a dino is on you, you're probably gonna die.
Yeah.
But you get 5 continues, so it's a pretty fair game. As far as letting you play through. We're watching one of the first puzzles right now, which is kind of a fun one.
Yeah, it's an early one, but it's just, I don't know. That's my least favorite part of it is the puzzles. And I realize that it's a problem I have with, I don't like, how do I put this? I don't like a game that is also about a lot of action where I got to deal with puzzles a lot. I freaking hate that.
Yeah.
It just slows the pacing down.
Then you're going to love 2.
Oh, no, I won't. I know 2's supposed to have, I never played 2 back in the day. I played a little bit of 1.
Yeah.
In the day. Ian, you said you'd never played it before, right? This is your first time in there?
I never played either one of these. Now I had fired it up before, so I knew what it was, but I walked around for a couple minutes and said, nope. Because you can play 5 minutes and not actually do anything, just story setup.
Yeah,
and I've done that before. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
That's great. I was trying to find. I thought this issue did a review of that game, and they didn't. It was just a preview.
Oh,
because I want to see what score they gave it. Right? It's fun to look at scores of the time and see how stuff holds up.
I don't know how that magazine scored it, but most of the magazines at the time gave it like 8 out of 10, 80%, 75, somewhere, fairly high, not bad, not perfect, but not bad.
Yeah. That's not awful. I've seen worse.
No. Yeah.
There's way worse than that.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, man. I'm of the opinion that it holds up in some ways, and it makes me wish they just kept going. Like, keep making Dino Crisis games, or at the very least, do the remake treatment they did for 2, 3, Nemesis, and 4, which all are recent, right? Those recent remakes are incredibly well done. Dino Crisis could be amazing with that remake, doing that new engine. It's all perfectly 3D, revoice everybody. I mean, really just do the treatment those games have had. And if people at home haven't seen those, they're amazing. They're really good. Like, legit. I think
it's a pretty good... Yeah, they are really good. And I think this is pretty good separation from Jurassic Park. So if you've seen this, you probably think, oh, it's just Jurassic Park, but, you know, a Resident Evil. But it's more than that, because it is a sci-fi story, and it's about, you know, how do you get dinosaurs in modern times, or how do you put people in the same room as a dinosaur? And what they did was Dr. Kirk was working on some scientific stuff. And anyway, he opened basically a time portal that allowed dinosaurs to be here with us.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that idea of, you know, this time portal with dinosaurs, either us going there or dinosaurs coming here. And, you know, they aren't genetically created. These are the real dinos, the real dinosaurs.
The real thing, man.
Coming, the real thing, baby.
That's right.
Just, you know. Yeah,
they would eat. They would eat Newman from Seinfeld if they could. They'd do it. That's how real these are.
They add Cooper right away. I like that. I like that Gale, our primary tactical team operator, he's just so ignorant. He's like, even when he sees a dinosaur, he's still like, look at that giant lizard. What were they doing here? And it's like, dude,
he's the worst
dinosaur. Didn't you see Jurassic Park? Come on.
He's terrible.
Come on.
So wait, who's this guy here?
Rick.
Let me play this guy's voice.
Stay here, Junior.
That's Rick, right?
Yeah, that's Gale.
Is that Gale?
That's Gale. So he's talking to Rick.
Junior.
Rick is our Rick is our tech guy, right? And he's also ignorant. No one believes Regina when she says, "I've encountered a dinosaur," because the first time you encounter one, you assume that Gale has been attacked. And Gale disappears, and you get attacked by a dino. And then later on, Rick's like saying, I've been seeing stuff, but I don't know what it is. And so not only do you have to fight the dinos, you have to also convince your teammates that the dinosaurs are real and we're in some big trouble here, buddy.
Just seems like it's obvious that Rick is going to die quick. Just seems obvious to me.
And and we won't spoil anything here for the ending, but there are several endings, and some end with Rick not going with you,
not having a great time in the end. Yeah. I mean, it was to me again,
happens to Rick or not.
Again, it wasn't anything like shocking. Well, whatever. I don't want to spoil it. If you guys are going to play this for yourselves, play it for yourselves.
I like Rick because it reminds me that they also pulled some stuff. I like the first time I ever seen it in a sci-fi movie was Alien, when, you know, there's kind of like a control room person that sees all the horror from the outside and kind of lets you know that something's coming, but don't know exactly how it's good. So it like heightens that fear. And Rick's kind of that guy. He's kind of like the eye in the sky, Overwatch kind of guy that kind of lets you know that something's coming your way, but I don't know where, you know. And he does that, opens doors for you. You know, he's like, oh, good job. You completed, you know, task B, and now I'm able to unlock door H.
Yeah.
And so
that's an interesting interaction. We're looking at some pre-rendered stuff right here, and this is a thing of note. This Resident Evil 1 and 2 did very little in that department. So when you were trying to tell story breaks in between sets or levels or whatever, it was usually just Barry, Jill, and it was like in-game assets, and it was all very terrible, right? This is the first time that I remember anyway, and there may have been stuff in 2 that I don't remember, or even Nemesis, but in this one, it was the first time you'd see pre-rendered cutscenes, and they look like trash compared to what we could do today. But for the time, this stuff was mind-blowingly good. I remember going, geez.
I thought it was actually pretty good for the late 90s, early 2000s. I like the late 90s. I thought it was pretty good for, you know, like,
I agree.
Compare it to Jurassic Park at the movies where they're running server farms. This is being this is for a video game.
Yeah, it's for a video game, and video games weren't known for this.
Pretty good.
Most video games didn't have this level of like pre-rendered stuff.
No.
So I think it was actually really impressive for when it was.
I thought it was pretty good.
A little rough now, but that's because we've gotten better, like everything.
Yeah, and it looks good, and there's actually some things you can do to make that look better. There's a couple of community projects that have redone HD textures and that kind of stuff, and plus the good old games is a really good experience. I played it on the Dreamcast as well. I didn't actually get my Dreamcast out, but I had the Dreamcast version of it, and I played it in a emulator called Redream. And it's, of course, Dreamcast is the Windows CE operating system. So all I did was just port over the Windows version, which had, a little nicer look to it, and is basically what you're getting in the good old games version. They just made it so that you could install it on a modern operating system like 10, 11, and it's got a DirectX wrapper. So you can determine stuff like screen size, and you can upscale it to 4K. And it's really easy to enjoy Dino Crisis in a modern way now. I like it.
Except this boss fight right here,
it
sucks. This boss fight keeps changing angles, and it would drive me ape shit to fight.
Well, that's the bad thing about tank controls, is it is very cinematic in the way they presented the game, but it's also can be infuriating. And I found that I had a lot better experience using the D-pad, because this was you could use the analog stick if you wanted to, but I didn't like that. There's just when you have a D-pad and you just have 4 very specific directions you move in, it's a lot better than when you're running at an angle, especially when you're like, this camera switches on, you're right in the middle of a run and suddenly have to go from, northwest to southwest or southeast. And it's like, wow.
Plus it sometimes there's like a little pause hitch. I hate that. Like between angles.
In between little cuts.
Hate that. Just feels unresponsive. Yeah. But again, it's a thing of its time. Can't complain too much.
It is a solution to a technology limitation of its time, because the cinematic presentation that they're wanting to give requires that the controls be like they are, right? Mm-hmm. So I mean, it is what it is, and I had a good time.
Yeah,
and
it's
I'm
all
gonna
right.
finish playing it.
It's all right. Now let's talk about 2 real quick. 2 came out in 2000. Not long after. All right. This is how they used to do it. You get sequel on sequel like a year later. It is a bigger, more loud sort of action. There's more action. Less puzzles. Still lots of puzzles, but less. And I think they were trying to get a happier medium there from the first game.
Right. More environmental puzzles where it's like, where do I need to stand so that I can blow up these spores, instead of, and how do I get past this door? Well, I need to use this particular weapon instead of, rearrange these 4 sets of colored batteries, which was like kind of first kind of thing. But
and also less just being hunted and slowly finding out there's something behind you, and more like, I'm out here now fighting. Here's some shit to kill. Right. Like, it's a lot more action oriented. If you're into that, I actually think it's an improvement. If you prefer the more methodic kind of horror element of the first game, I think this is a downgrade from that. But again, depends on what you like, I guess.
I found joy in both games, but make no mistake, they are you play these games in a very different way. They still have the cinematic type cameras, and you still got essentially tank controls, but a lot of it is
they quit doing pre-renders
running,
by the way. They didn't do pre-render after this. They went all in game, which it's fine. It's a lot more expressive. They did some better mocap and animation, and like, it's a better presentation, but it's a downgrade from those pre-renders. Those looked a lot better than this shit.
They did. Things are brighter because you're outside, and it's horror in the full light. Mm-hmm. Because it's scary to fight a T-Rex, especially one that gets his eye blown away out by a rocket in the opening scenes, right? So I mean, it's fun. Now, you don't get to play as Regina.
No.
When you start, you do eventually get to play as Regina, but you're kind of flipping back and forth between another character who's kind of arrogant.
It's this guy here. So, forgot his name. What's his name?
William. I always forget his name. I'm not a big fan of his.
I didn't write it down, but he reminds me. He's like, Resident Evil did the same thing. First game, it's all about Jill Valentine, and in the second game, it was all about what's his bucket?
Wes's bucket. Yeah, they do that.
Haircut. I can't think of his name.
Yeah, let's explore this character.
Mm-hmm. And then you also in two you could play the lady for a while because there was a whole section that you could replay as her.
Dylan Morton.
Dylan Morton.
That's his name.
All right,
Dylan.
That sounds like a guy who's gonna.
Dylan.
I don't know. He's gonna bring me water while I wait for the lawyer to get there. I don't know. Why that's.
I do like. I do like.
Leon. Sorry, Leon S. Kennedy. That's who the guy in the second Resident Evil is. It's Leon S.
You're
Kennedy.
Right, Leon. That's right. It's Leon. That's right.
Couldn't think of it.
But so back to Dylan and Regina. So Regina in the first one had to eat a lot of poo. Right? She was constantly having to listen to these morons, and she would occasionally try to clap back, but she'd always get shut down. In this one, she right away, Dylan kind of comes in with his little macho attitude. So she finally gets an opportunity to kind of go, well, go ahead, dumbass. And so Dylan runs off because the first place you come across is you got to open doors. And you can see this if you pop out to the map view. It's like the door will be locked, be red, and it's really just gates. And so he starts right away with his machete. And so he's getting to the door by cutting away the vines. Now, Regina can't do that. She has a stun gun, which she can zap doors that have, need be zapped.
Yeah. You got a door?
You can't machete a door that needs to be zapped, right?
Yeah.
You can't zap vines, I guess. So anyway, they both have their own strengths. And so you first get to play as him, and he works his way through the jungle, and you got these checkpoints, and it's like you're going from screen to screen almost. It's a little larger than that, but not much more than that. And each of those screens, as you move through the jungle, if you accidentally backstep because you're like, oh, that dino's too close to me, and you might backstep, that stupid dinosaurs regenerate. So if you clear an area that's not cleared, it's like two dinosaurs come back out.
Yeah, it's like playing. It's like a Zelda game. It's like a Zelda game. You go to the next screen, you come back, all that stuff's alive again. It's like that.
Yeah,
it's annoying. I don't love it.
Not as much backtracking in this one, unless you accidentally do it. First one had a lot of backtracking.
I wish that kind of stuff was more persistent. I prefer a persistent thing where there's a body in there. I killed it already. It doesn't come back. That's stupid. Yeah. I hate that.
Yeah, I like that's me too. Or if you want to, as long as it's not the same two, right? If you kill this two dinosaurs and you leave and you come back and those bodies are gone and it's the same two that were there before, that pisses me off. I'm okay with maybe another one shows up. That's fine.
Additional because you can explain that, right? That's right. Part of the world. That's the thing you can get into.
Part of the world.
Here's a little bit of sound from it. Now, there's a complaint I have about early PlayStation development that I will always harp on this when I hear it. The sound mixing on these old games is so terrible. They just overdo music and you can barely hear the dialogue, or the dialogue's too loud, or sound effects are too loud. They don't mix. They've terrible mixes on these old games. Here's an example of that. Dino Crisis 2 early scene, trying to hear a little narration over some really loud sound. Here it is.
1 year has passed since the third energy incident. Dr. Kirk's research on third energy has been taken over by a government agency, and massive research has begun at a base somewhere in the Midwest. However,
it's just so overdone. It's like, calm down on the music, dude. Let that guy talk.
Plus, every time he says third energy, I always think of pure energy.
Pure energy.
Pure energy. Doom, 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 doom.
Pure
third energy. But back to your point, I'm curious about that because I think we talked about this before, especially for the PlayStation emulation. I've watched videos of people playing, and they all seem to be playing through emulation. And I'm like, is anybody playing this on the real hardware? Is this a limitation or a misconfiguration of PSX Rearmed or something else? Because lots of times you can get in there and you can adjust the mixes and the options. You can do that here. And I had to do that because I was the same way as you, but not in that introduction video. That's pre-rendered, but with audio, right? So it's just a WAV file. It's a sample. But in game, there's also a poor mix, but you can kind of adjust it and slide it in the options. So I'm just curious if there's if the raw, emulation just doesn't have a very good mix. And I started going through the core options to see if I could change some stuff. I don't remember it being that prevalent.
Oh, I do. They were terrible back then. I used to
play it.
So bad.
Right.
And you go look at them now.
I believe it. I just don't remember it that much.
That audio I got was pulled off of an actual PlayStation capture.
Okay. Right.
If the game had options to go tweak it, I don't know. But all I know is it just always felt like I was fighting that back then. Even then, I was like, I'd hook it up to my CRT, my 19-inch, whatever the hell Trinitron I had. And I'd be like, why is this music so loud? And you couldn't control it. Why is her voice so quiet? But also sound and that era of gaming, we just weren't very professional yet. We hadn't gotten there, you know?
Yeah. I mean, we were just now getting to where we were starting to really hire, like, in a wider sense, voice actors instead of, just doing it in-house. So yeah, we were getting there.
Yeah.
But I am curious about it because it still feels like it's not quite, something's not quite right.
That's my beef is it sounds just wrong. Yeah. It's just terrible.
Right.
They also do this creative scene switching thing. So Resident Evil was famous for just a door animating opening when you'd have to transition to a scene because they had to load new stuff in. This game is pretty cool because it's got her or him or whoever you're playing at the time climbing a ladder, opening an elevator, and walking through. Like, you see the dude do it. It was a nice step up from the Resident Evil limitations, I thought.
I like it. It's good. It is also can be, it's kind of like if you watch your favorite show and it's like, there's always like a skip button over the intro. But I'm like, oh, but part of the fun is the intro. I want to watch the full intro. It's kind of the same way here for me for the door changes. I'm like, it gives me a sense of satisfaction every time I go into a door or get that little cut scene. Feels good for me.
Did you ever play Dino Stalker for the PlayStation 2 in 2002? Did you ever give that a shot?
I did not play any Dino Soccer. No.
Dino Stalker it's basically
Stalker. Oh, you're talking about the PS2 2002.
Yeah. What'd you think I said? Soccer?
Light gun shooter. I thought you said Dino Soccer, and I was like, that's weird.
I would play Dino Soccer. That'd be a great game.
Yeah, some T-Rexes out there, trying to lumber around while you got your strikers, which are the Raptors. I'd watch that.
Yeah,
I'd watch that.
Now this thing is like it's a light gun shooter. It's sort of a on rails thing. It's pretty fun. I remember playing it. It was all right.
Yeah,
it's a PS2 game.
I like your what we're watching right now is Scott shooting some pterodactyls.
Yeah,
in the sky. It's a light gun. So the Jurassic Park had their light guns games. Why not? Got your PS2.
Yeah,
I don't have a light gun on my PS2, but I guess I'm going to look at this.
Yeah, this is a spin-off. It's not connected to the main series. Is it even Capcom? I think it was. It Capcom?
I don't know if Capcom did this one or not. I think this might have been somebody else.
I'm trying to find an actual. Let's see. Where is this here? Gun Survivor, Biohazard. Nope. Okay, here we go. It was
Resident Evil was called Biohazard.
It was Capcom Production Studio 3. So it's a little like Sonic Software Planning,
Right. I guess they said we got a light gun. What should we do? How about some
exactly? I mean, I don't like
pterodactyls.
I don't like light gun games. Not a fan anymore. I used to think they were cool. But this looks all right. I could play this.
I'm okay with it. But not in large doses. I do like light gun games occasionally, and we've talked about them here a couple of times. But I am glad to see they were having some more dinosaurs, kind of like Dino Crisis 2.
Yeah,
had a way broader spectrum of dinos, which is good because I like smoking them with that flamethrower.
You're a dino smoker.
So I like watching.
I get it.
I like to smoke the dinos, but the thing I didn't like about this one. This time you're back and you're on the hunt to rescue a team that had went in before you.
Yeah.
And there is an others aspect of this. So while you're trying to fight the dinos, there's also this technologically advanced group that you don't know who the hell they are. I guess that's part of the secret of what's going on here. That shows up and has these long extended cutscenes where you gotta, oh no, they're trying to. I'm like, I'm here to shoot the dinos. All right.
Yeah.
I'm not here for your others storyline. I don't want it.
Yeah. But good news. You could play. You could wait till 03 and play Dino Crisis 3, a game most people didn't even know existed, including me.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Yeah.
It's on the Xbox OG. The OG Xbox. Here's a little video. It's kind of the one that killed it.
Fully 3D.
It's full 3D. Like it's all like fully. They don't lock any perspectives. Although that's not true. They do a couple of times.
Yeah. The camera still does the thing, but this time you got jetpacks. You're in space. Dinosaurs in space. Got the third energy, Dino Crisis, pure energy.
It's kind of shit.
Pure.
It's not a good game.
I'm curious about playing it, but I think I don't want to talk about. I didn't play it this week because I feel like
I watched a guy play it, a dude play it, and it looked just so bad to me. It did not look fun. Like they have like the enemy variety. You know, we're talking about how you like 2 had a way more enemy variety and stuff like that.
Yeah,
not this one, dude. There's like 2.
Not this one.
Yeah.
No, just you and some jetpacks, baby.
Yeah.
You
and they have
jetpacks,
and they have cool like space age armor on the dinosaurs and stuff like that. And you're like a little Gundam guy.
Oh, does a T-Rex have a jetpack? Because oh my god, that's like my worst nightmare.
Not a jetpack.
Anything scarier?
He definitely does have
than
like
a T-Rex with a jetpack.
He does have like electric armor on or some shit like that. So he's wearing stuff. He can't fly. He doesn't have a jetpack.
I'm kind of cool. I kind of like that. I kind of really like the most recent Godzilla King Kong thing.
I did too. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, King Kong's got that big arm thing.
Robo arm. A lot of people, well, I don't know. That movie did really well, so maybe a lot of people do like it, but critically it was kind of all over the place. I thought it was fun. Yeah. I had a good time.
I thought it was, that's exactly the word for it.
But I'm not sure. I mean, a game where you have to be interactive with a thing for 20 hours, I'm not sure that's enough, you know, for what it brought to the table. But that was the end of that series for now anyway.
Well, let's backtrack, if you don't mind, to Dino Crisis 2 just real quick so we can really put a point on how different it was from the first game. In the second one, you also you had a lot more ammo because the point was never to run from the dinos. It was always to kill them because you had a point system.
Yeah.
And for whatever weird reason, I guess the island gods bestowed upon you currency for every dino you killed so that you could then go to stations where you could buy more weapons.
Right.
Based on the currency of killing the dinos.
And it had these dispensers were called magazine helpers or dispensers or something. Magazine
you could magazine, which you could increase the size of ammo that you could hold for your weapons. That was the magazine component that you could upgrade to. And
you could also buy your ammo there, right? Yeah, recharge it, reload it.
Right.
Yeah.
You could buy your ammo, you could buy tools, and that's where you could buy the flame gun, which you'll need when you're traveling on the southern route of the jungle map to get to Lloyd. What's his name? I've already forgot his name. Brandon. When you're trying to get to him, you gotta pass through like poison spores, and so you gotta inflame them. But then you realize that it's super fun just to burn all the dinosaurs. It smells good.
It smells good. Smells like
brontosaurus.
Yeah, it's like beef.
Yeah.
I like that. I like the smell of beef. Well, anyway, there's your look at these things.
Tastes like chicken.
It's a good time across the board. Here's some. I'll play that later, actually. But anyway, it's a Dino Crisis. So get out there and help put it out. Put it out like a fire, everybody. All right, do what you can. We're gonna play a game that we made up now, and it's called Guess Our Game. Yeah, that's right. You heard me.
My game.
Yeah, you guess my game, I guess your game. We do it with some audio clips. Oh, I have to play the thing.
Destroy it.
This is we give a year and a platform, and then you got to guess. So I'm going to start this time with the PlayStation 2 and the year. I don't know why I wrote PlayStation 2 twice. Hold on. There it is.
You wrote it out. You shortened it.
There.
You shorthanded PS2, and then you wrote out PlayStation.
Yeah. I don't know what I was thinking. Like a dummy.
I love it.
But anyway, PlayStation 2, the year is 2001. Brian, are you ready for this?
2001. Yep.
All right, here goes. Here's my audio, if I can find it.
I wonder how long it's been since my brother and I began to see things other people can't see.
That's a walking sound, by the way.
Love it.
That's running.
You didn't know that's running.
That's steps, I think. Oh, listen to this. Hold on. That's cool. All right. Kalima Shakti Day. All right, here is your options. You have 4 to choose from. Is it A, Mask of the Lunar Eclipse?
Ooh.
B, Clock Tower? C. Resident Evil Revelations. Or D. Fatal Frame. Again, your options are Mask of the Lunar Eclipse, Clock Tower, Resident Evil Revelations, or Fatal Frame.
And it's for the PlayStation 2. The year was 2001. I've never heard of Mask of the Lunar Eclipse, but that sounds freaking amazing and kind of sounds like what the game is. Could be wrong. Clock Tower. Maybe they're running around in a clock tower, and that's why they're all squeaky wood panel or wood planks, right? Resident Evil Revelations. I could kind of see it, but I would assume when they had that change, when they opened that door, it'd have been a lot longer because we'd had a door change, right? They still do that back then? Not sure. Or
PS1, I think they got rid of that. Or PS2.
Or do I just want you to give me the D because that's the most fun to say? Scott, give me the D. Fatal Flame.
Flame?
Flame.
Yeah, frame. It's frame. It's definitely frame. Let's find out if that's correct. That is correct. Nicely done.
Oh, is it really awesome?
Yeah, I never played Fatal Frame series, but people like it. Now, here's the funny thing. I kind of cheated with A because A is the second Fatal Frame game called Fatal Frame: Mask of the Lunar Eclipse. So nice. I kind of cheated there, but Clock Tower is also a horror game of the era. I thought maybe you might get snagged on that, but Fatal Frame is indeed correct. Nicely done.
I was going to say C because that's what the one you go with, but then I was like, I'm pretty sure it's not. That was the only one I was kind of sure it wasn't. And so I say and give me the D is just
just fun to say, isn't it?
So
give me the D.
It's fun to say.
All right, tell me. So I'm going to see if I can equal up things today. What is my platform? What is my year here? What do we got?
Well, I went back a few years. Many is, in fact, 13 years. I went to the arcade, and the year was 1988.
Wow, way back.
Yeah.
All right, arcade from 1988. Let's hear what you got. Second left. Whatever this is, I've played it. It's very familiar.
I would almost guarantee you played it.
Oh, man. All right. Tell me my options. What do we got?
All right. Is what you're listening to A, Winning Run, B, Grand Prix, C, Power Drift, or D, Chase HQ?
All right. I've played all of these except Power Drift. Maybe Grand Prix. Did you say Grand Prix? Is that what you said?
Grand Prix. Grand Prix.
Very different game. All right. Winning Run, Grand Prix, Power Drift, or Chase HQ. I was a huge Chase HQ fan. I love that series, and I like the home ones, too. This would have been arcade. I think that's too early for Chase HQ.
Yeah.
Shit. I mean, I still know enough about these. You guarantee I've played it. That's interesting.
Well, I can't say, I can't guarantee you played it, but I sure played the hell out of it, and most people played it.
I'm going to go with C, Power Drift, because I don't know, but I'm going to go with C because sometimes you do C.
Yeah. Aw. You got it. It is Power Drift. C.
You chose C. That's too good.
Yeah.
C is always a default if I don't have any idea. I don't know what Power Drift is, or maybe I do, because that music and stuff is very familiar. Let me just look this up.
Once you see the video, I think you'll go, oh yeah, I've played this Sega kart racing game before.
Let me take a look here. Oh, I have played this.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's got that crazy turn angle. That's so nuts.
Yeah, so when you turn the car, it also tilts the screen, and that's kind of like what you'd see with some of not Outrun, but the motorcycle one that we played, and also Afterburner. That was kind of that whole kind of era, because you know why? Producer Yu Suzuki. Yeah,
they were doing the thing they did with sprites, where they created like almost a 3D effect by bunching them all up. Yeah, whatever that was called.
Yep.
Yeah, you know what? I have played this. Oh, it looks like fun. I might go play it again.
It looks like so much fun, right? Because it's got those like what do they call them, like the columns and stuff that you go through. Like you'd see an Outrun, and it kind of almost feels a little bit like Afterburner on the ground, and it's
Yeah,
games.
I think it's the verticality of the tracks where you can go up and down and turn and get that like weird turn angle. That's really something.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever played it. Maybe I did and just saw it. Never played it, but saw it. I don't know.
I played the arcade, but only a couple of times, and it left an impression on me because I remember thinking, "Man, this is like some of the other ones I loved."
Yeah, that looks like fun.
Look at that cover box, though. Look at that. B.A. Baracus, Mr. T.
Let's see.
You got to pull
Power
up.
Drift box. Was it a box?
Yeah.
Or it was on the.
Or maybe not a box, but like the flyers and stuff they would have.
Oh yeah, look at that. Look at these guys. Here, check it out, chat. Whoops. Moved that the wrong place. There it is. Look at this stuff.
Yeah, there we go.
Look at this dude.
Sign me up.
Yeah, he's awful big compared to this dude down here.
Dude down here.
Yeah, dude down here, baby.
Look at that face. He looks like he's lost his mind.
Yeah, I don't want to be on the road with that guy. We're all getting in trouble.
You would definitely have to tranquilize that guy to get him on a plane.
Yeah.
And other guys flashing the peace signs of that guy, but you definitely know in the original artwork it was not a peace sign.
Oh hell no. Big old bird.
It was one index finger. You could tell because that index finger, it looks like they drew that index finger in later. It's like, look how wrong that index finger looks.
Yeah, it doesn't look right at all. It's almost like it's so wait here. Look, you guys, we'll zoom in.
You know it was definitely a bird, and they had to sanitize it.
Yeah, you can just tell.
Yeah, that was originally a bird for sure.
Also, that looks like a young, like a John.
Oh, that's funny. He's got that kind of a large nose, and
it's got a John Favreau vibe. I don't know.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
But this guy, freaking give him whatever he wants.
Is that Vin Diesel back there?
Where?
This game was ahead of his time.
Oh yeah.
Some Fast and Furious.
Yeah, I don't like how like the Statue of Liberty's kind of leaning weird. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like this guy, and then this girl's really having a rough one.
Oh,
yep, she's falling.
I'm a lady. I can't drive.
Look at this guy up here. I'm a lady. I'm incapable of driving.
I'm incapable of driving. Oh.
I love this stuff. All right. Guess what, guys? We are welcoming Champions Return to Arms to Retro. That's right. 20 years ago, 2005, the action role-playing game. Was it today? Really? Wow.
Yeah, released today in 2005, February the 7th, 2025. I mean, 2005.
2005, yep. Developed by Snowblind Studios and published by Sony Online Entertainment for the PlayStation 2. Set in the EverQuest universe. It is the sequel to Champions of Norath. As with its predecessor, Ubisoft released the game in Europe. It's not as good, I'm sorry to say, as the first one, but it was all right. It was basically, kind of Diablo-like action-y, three-quarter view, sort of hack and slash kind of business. And the first one, Champions of Norath, was better. But it wasn't like, it wasn't trash. It was good.
Right.
It was okay.
But, the scars are well gone now. It's been 20 years, so, you're over it. Right?
Yeah, I can lick my wounds at this point.
Yeah.
My nasty Champions Return to Arms wounds. All right. Congratulations to that game and all those others who perhaps entered the Pantheon that day. Now this.
Welcome to the treasure room.
Yes, that's right. We take listener feedback at both 801-471-0462 in the form of emails and texts, and voicemails, what I meant to say. Or you can email us, playretroshow@gmail.com. Here's one from Tyler, who says, for Play Retro, magazines definitely exist. I don't know why he thought we were saying they didn't, but anyway. I think
well, we just said that they kind of maybe weren't.
I think we were just saying that
they were suffering.
I think we're just saying video game magazines barely exist anymore. Like there's some stuff.
It's not wrong.
But it's rare. It's not like it used to be. It used to be so many of them.
Yeah.
But like regular ones, like all the ladies magazine, I know there's tons of those,
Dude, yeah, you go into Walgreens, man, or
Barnes and Noble
with $12 magazines.
Yeah, Barnes and Noble's got a trillion of them still, but there are very few that are game focused anymore.
Right. But I don't think that was his main point. I don't think it was Tyler's main point. I think he was just, opening up his sentence.
Well, here's what he's saying. Whether you want them or not, my wife gets a wide variety of them, and we're not sure why. They just show up in our mailbox addressed to her. She gets Cigar Aficionado, Fortune, Southern Living, Vogue, all recipes, and a couple of travel magazines, occasionally Town and Country, and I think a few more. We've been getting some of them for years and years, and some only for months. She works in a cardiology clinic and says that she once Googled how to get cheap magazines for the waiting room, entered no personal information, or went to any kind of site to sign anything up. She never gets charged, but she continually gets these magazines. I think this is great. So it's a fun, quirky mystery around the house. Needless to say, she doesn't take cigar aficionado to the cardiology waiting room. A bored janitor called Tyler. Well, thanks, Tyler. I hope you're not too bored. Your wife is definitely on a list.
That used to be life. You couldn't hardly, if you accidentally did have an interest in one magazine, they would inundate you with every magazine.
Yeah. Then they try to charge you later.
If you were a magazine person, you didn't just get one magazine. Yeah. They were definitely going to load you up.
Plus, they had those little papers that would fall out of your magazine that they would want you to go dink with. You know. Yeah. Those are the days.
Have you ever? Is this my imagination, or does every perfume insert smell exactly the same? All smell like
they all smell exactly the same. You're right. How many ways can you make paper smell different? It's probably really hard.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But every time I get one, I'd be like, "Oh, well, and you smell." And smells exactly like
same smell. Smells like grandma's armpit every time.
Grandma's armpit. Cigar aficionado. I'd be interested.
It's like cat fancy or anything that focuses in on one thing, right? Like, if you're super into cats or you're super into
fancy.
I never had a cat fancy, but I always wanted one because I just thought it was so stupid.
Yeah.
Do you remember Life magazine? You used to get that at the house?
Oh yeah, I used to love Life magazine. Yeah.
Did you get Boys Life when you were younger?
I did not, but I was aware. I seen Boys Life. We had Boy Scouts around here, so
we used to get Boys Life a lot.
Yeah.
And I remember those being kind of lame. My favorite magazines were the ones where you had to find all the hidden objects at the hospital or at the
highlights.
Doctor. Highlights, yeah.
Yeah, you would go to the dentist office and you have the highlights magazine.
Loved it.
Great.
I wonder if they still have that.
So much fun.
That one's probably
I'm sure they still have to have that,
Do
right?
they?
I mean,
the
magazine industry probably only exists to place themselves in doctors' offices. So I mean, they were insulated from any magazine roller coaster ride.
Yeah. I don't know questions about that. I'm curious about it. All right, we got one more here from Shanna Fan, regular fan of the show. Also, dude is very active in our Discord and loves 2K sports games. Just to say it. It says, "Okay, Scott and Brian, toward the end of the Wave Race show, you joked about someone naming themselves Kevtris. Do yourselves a favor and look his name up on Wikipedia. Quite ironic, considering your show is called Play Retro. Wink, wink." From Shanna Fan. So let's do this right now. So we're going to go to Wikipedia.
That was a pretty fun little rabbit hole we did last time. Oh my gosh.
Kevtris.
All right. I guess there's a thing. It's Kevtris.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
Wait, where is it? I'm not seeing it. KEV.
Well, I'm seeing a YouTube thing. Oh my God. And he just worked on Wario Land 3. No, that's 5 years ago. It's just the one that popped up for me. Probably because.
Well, who the hell? He's not in this. He told me to look in Wikipedia. There's nobody named Kevtris in there. Oh, Kevin Horton. Here he is. Kevin Horton. I found it.
I see a Kevtris on.
Electrical engineer known for his work with Analog and the Analog NT Mini, Super NT, and the Mega SG in the 1990s. Kevin Horton developed a game similar to Tetris called Kevtris, which, or the name of which became an online handle. Let's see. Horton stated working with Analog in 2015 when he started working there when he designed the Analog NT's HDMI daughter board. In 2017, he was profiled in Vice Media's Motherboard magazine as one of their Humans of the Year for his work with the Analog and the Analog NT Mini. What do you got there? Let me see.
I got my Analog Pocket. So this is not the NT, but this is the Analog Pocket right here. I love my Analog Pocket. I would love to have an NT.
For a hot minute, I had a white one that I played around with, but it was a friend who was giving it to me to give away to someone, so I did that.
Oh man, that's too bad because I love my Analog Pocket and I'm going to get to use it.
Yeah, but how often do you use it? Do you use it very often? Like you've been there all the time?
Well, it's like I was talking to a friend earlier this week. I have probably close to 30 different electronic gaming devices, from handhelds to real hardware. And it's just a real privilege to be able to just go, oh, this week we're covering this game, and I can just reach over and get a working version of that, and it's going to come and play this next week. Do I play my Analog Pocket every week? No. Will I be using it this next week? Yes.
Okay.
And so it's just nice to have it available. I recommend everybody have a whole bunch of freaking consoles and shit. No, not unless you're planning on doing a podcast about.
Maybe they are. This is Kevtris, by the way.
I don't have to select one particular device.
Look at this guy. Look at his face. This is Kevtris.
I love him. He's great.
Got a big old earring.
He's great.
He's got a mustache, bald head. What else can you ask for?
Bald head. I don't know. I was hoping his face would be more blocky since he did have.
Yeah, I did too a little bit.
I mean, thought might be made out of blocks, but
it says here he used to be a cryogenics engineer. That's crazy.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah,
used to be.
Yeah.
Is he from the 50s?
Well,
is he like some kind of is he to get frozen like Captain America and he's a man from the past?
I think in the 90s it was doing that before he jumped headlong into game stuff. So that happens. Like our old pal Greg Street of Word on the Street fame. He is started out as a marine biologist and then became a game designer. So and you wouldn't
sharp eyes and ears, kind of fan. Good job.
And you wouldn't have Age of Empires 2, you would not have Age of Mythology, and you would not have a lot of what came with World of Warcraft if Greg had not changed careers. So there you go.
Well, that is the word on the street.
That's the word on the street. Absolutely. All right. Well done, everybody. And thanks for your feedback. Once again, 801-471-0462 or playretroshow@gmail.com. Our next discussion is going to be all about Super Wario, not Super Wario, but just Wario on Game Boy. We're going to talk about Wario Land, which is technically Super Mario Brothers Land 3 on the Game Boy. Wario Land 2, 3, and 4. 3 and 4 are very different than those previous games.
Yeah, and 3 is one of the most beloved, and 4 is headed to the Nintendo Online for Valentine's Day. So that's Nintendo giving you some love. Wario Land 4, Game Boy Advance.
GBA, yep. That's my personal favorite. I know 3 is, a lot of people like 3, but I'm more of a 4 guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll talk all about it. Why is Wario my favorite ancillary Mario character? Gonna have to tune in to find out. I'm gonna win, he would say. And he'll explain why a little bit later.
I'm gonna win.
That's right.
Unfortunately, I only had Super Mario Land 1 and 2 on Game Boy Original. Is that color? Must be, I think my sister's original. So I had to order a Wario Land 3. I've got the Japanese version coming. I'm curious about that because that's cool. I have a new device called the Epilogue GB operator that allows me to grab the ROMs off the carts, including the saves, which is very important because the reason why I got this thing is because some of my Pokemon batteries were dying, but I wanted to save my saves, and this device lets me do just that, and then I can write them back.
The pocket monsters are dying.
Yep.
We can't let that happen.
Pocket monster.
You must save your pocket monsters.
No, I must save the pocket monsters.
Anyway, that'll be next week. I'm very excited. Bring some Mario into this world like his mother did.
Yes.
Anyway, that's all coming up soon.
His mother did.
Don't forget to use our Patreon at will, patreon.com/playretro. We have brand new folks this week. Norbert Ursu, Patrick Weber, and EF Contentment.
Oh.
I like that name.
EF Contentment. Not EF Hutton, but EF Contentment.
No, it's pretty cool, though. I like it.
Ever freaking contentment.
That's right. No commercials ever. Pre-show content every week. Other monthly benefits. Do you want to sign up today? You sure do. Head on over to patreon.com/playretro today. And for everything else we got going, there's a website, frogpants.com/playretro. Brian, is there anything you'd like to say before we leave?
Dude, check out my YouTube channel. It's been having a lot of great content. I'm posting every couple of days now. I know Scott already does the same thing, but check out me and Scott both on the YouTubes for our retro content.
That's right. Check it out.
Additional retro content.
YouTube.com/the Brian Dunaway or just Brian Dunaway?
Brian, is it? No, maybe. Now you got me questioning my own sanity. It might be the Brian Dunaway.
I can't remember. I know you've had to change around depending on the platform, but I can't remember.
Exactly, because there's some guy that's a copyright guy, and it is the Brian Dunaway. There you go.
The Brian Dunaway. I'm at Scott Johnson, and you can find both our bits of content on YouTube there. Please sub up on those channels as well. We're going to keep bringing you some cool stuff, so check that out. That'll do it for us. Go play something retro. We'll see you next time.
Wear them loud and proud, friend. Be large and in charge. You're always welcome at frogpants.com.
Stay here, Junior.